Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Mindset Mojo mentor and Aspire magazine publisher, Linda Joy. And one of the things I'm most passionate about with the show and everything that I do is bringing you conversations with experts that can empower, support, and inspire you on your journey to living your best life. Whether you're an entrepreneur like myself and my guest, or a woman on the path of self-discovery, every conversation that I bring you through the show is here to inspire you to believe in possibility, to believe in yourself. Today, we're going to be talking about human design, your personal formula for business success. Do you ever long to be in the ease and flow of life? I'm raising my hand. I know that is what I believe all of us want. Well, knowing your human design can help you understand your life's purpose and how you are uniquely wired to navigate the world. Because when you follow your divine design, it aligns you with your life, business, career, and relationships so that you're naturally in the flow instead of struggling against life and then against your natural inklings of the way you're wired. That's why I'm excited to have a dear friend, a soul sister, and human design expert, Nancy OKeefe, with me today. Nancy is a certified quantum human design specialist, intuitive business coach, and a compassionate transformer who helps women entrepreneurs peel back the layers of who they have been taught to be and how they have been conditioned to do business to reveal who they truly are so they can live their inner truth and build an abundant and sustainable business that feeds their soul. She's the author of the book Unlimited Talent and a contributing author to the books Stop Overworking, Start Overflowing, and the bestseller Life Reimagined. Nancy's passionate, as you're about to discover, about helping women understand their divine design and their personal formula for success. Welcome, Nancy.
Hi, Linda. I'm so happy to be here today.
Well, I am too. I always love circling up with you. I love your work. I love your message. And because of you, I'm even more enthralled with human design than ever. And I'll start off the show by saying I've had a reading with you that completely validated the path I've been on and validated, oh my goodness, that's why I am who I am and why I choose the decisions that I choose. And we'll talk about that more later. So, Nancy, for those who have never heard about human design, share it for beginners. What is human design?
Well, human design is a personality system of sorts, and it's based on a number of instruments, one being astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and, quantum physics actually enters in there too. So it's a system that depends primarily on information around when you were born, and we use that information to pull a human design chart, and that shows us what energies you have in your chart in sort of a fixed way that are always accessible to you. And from there, we can find out a lot of things about you, your energy type, how you like to operate in the world. We can talk about relationships, who you're compatible with. We can also look at things like career and business. There's a lot of indicators in the chart that kind of serve as a roadmap, so that you can see who you came here to be and what you came here to do, your life and soul's purpose. Throughout the years, by well-meaning parents in school and even advertising, we've been taught to be a certain way, and it isn't right for everyone. One of the important things that human design brings to the table is the idea that we are each a unique being. divinely designed, and no two people are alike. And what that means is we should be pointing up our differences and stepping into them and living from that point of view, as opposed to trying to conform and be just like everybody else. And the good news is it's a lot easier to be yourself than it is to try to be something you're not. So it's a way of relaxing into who you are and seeing what possibilities are there for you and being able to take advantage of them on your own terms.
I'll tell you, I found it to be so powerful, and a lot of the friends and clients I've referred to you still talk about it every time we have a call. It came up the other day, Nancy, on Tuesday's call. I'll talk about that later. But I'm like, they are so blown away. They're all entrepreneurs, as you know, and they're like, Lynn, it makes so much sense. Nancy is reading Human Design Meeting really opened my eyes to why I struggle in my business, because I'm trying to be who I'm not.
Right.
And I think that's such a gift, Nancy, that human design can help us accept us who we are, so we're not trying to wear a mask to fit into the world.
Exactly. And one of the most important concepts in business when you're trying to get new clients, and who doesn't want more of that, is the whole know, like, and trust factor. But when you're out there wearing that mask and not being who you truly are, it's hard to establish that trust factor, and people just aren't going to do business with you unless they trust you. So it's very, very important for having a sustainable and an abundant business.
I think that's so important because, you know, authenticity is one of my core principles in my business. But I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, and I can remember, you know, when you're starting out and when you're unsure of yourself, that you're like, oh, so-and-so is doing it this way, I'll try this. And we do these things that are not I guess they're not coming from within, right? And
Exactly.
it wasn't until, you know, a decade ago, or maybe a little more than that, that I said, I can't do this. This is exhausting. And I had to almost peel back layers to let my authentic self come in. And guess what? When I did that, business thrived. And it's something you just said that really speaks to me. The know, like, trust factor, as you and I both believe, it's energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Love what you do, but if they get there and the messaging doesn't match the person or energy because it's somebody else's message, not your own, there's almost like this energetic disconnect for them. Have you found that too? When someone's
Absolutely. And people sense your aura. Even on a Zoom call, you can feel someone's energy. And if what you're feeling doesn't match up with what they're saying and, you know, what they're doing, right away, you have an element of distrust that's going to be very difficult to overcome in terms of getting them to be a client.
so true, Nancy. Before we go further with human design, I always love to ask my guests, what led you here? Because you've been a successful entrepreneur in multiple fields for decades, my friend. And I love to hear about the natural transition. Like, what led you to human design on your own path?
Well, it's funny. Human design popped up on my radar in, I don't know, about 2017. And I looked into it a little bit, and it seemed very confusing, and I dismissed it as something that wasn't, you know, important. But, you know, the universe gives you lots of messages, and if you're paying attention, you get the guidance you need to move forward. And it kept coming across my desk to the point where I just couldn't ignore it any longer. So I took a couple of classes, which I found complex. They went right over my head, but I knew it was something I had to keep working on. And I did, and eventually became certified. And I just love it. I've always used personality instruments in my consulting and coaching work. And I have basically ditched everything else I was using for decades in favor of this, because I just find it to be, you know, at a soul level and so accurate that most people are pretty blown away.
I love it. And what I love about the work you do in the world is you are a beautiful blend of strategy and the spiritual, and you found this way to powerfully bring them together to support entrepreneurs. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, because I think that's a powerful combination as a leader.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I enjoy, and I've always been drawn to the spiritual side. I've dabbled in everything from tarot card reading to, you know, pendulum, everything. I'm a Reiki master. I don't use that in my practice, but I've always had a kindred spirit with the spiritual. But I've spent my whole life being in business, having my own business, working in other people's businesses, seeing what happens when there's a lot of great coaches and consultants out there, and they're doing their very best to impart their knowledge to their clients about what works and how to do things. But the fact is, if it isn't right for you, it's not going to work well. And then you're left with, looking at what you're doing and maybe feeling bad about yourself. Gee, this works for other people. How come I can't get any traction? And the answer is simply, you're not on your own path, and that's why it's not working.
Yes, I can agree with that wholeheartedly because I've lived it. And Nancy, we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, I want to talk about how human design can support us in business. And we'll be back in a moment, my friends. I am with Nancy OKeefe of nancyokeefecoaching.com. We'll be back in a moment.
Inspiration for a woman's soul. Aspire Magazine, inspiring and supporting women on the path of self-discovery. Claim your free digital subscription today, which includes access to thousands of dollars of personal development bonus gifts from Team Inspiration partners. Claim your Aspire Magazine subscription today at subscribetoaspire.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. With me today is certified quantum human design specialist and intuitive business coach, Nancy OKeefe. So we're talking all things human design, how human design fits in to support you in being the business leader that you are. So how does human design support us in business, Nancy?
Well, there's a variety of ways, and I'll just give you like the top few. Number one, everybody has an energy type. And as an example, a generator, most of the people are generators, about 70%. They're kind of the worker bees of the world, and they are like the Energizer Bunny. So they have the energy in their chart to sustain a long work day that we work in this country. But if you're a projector, as an example, 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, whatever we're working these days, that is a struggle for you. So when you craft your own business, you want to make sure you're honoring your energy type so that you have the energy to do what you want to do in the world. There's also a component of the human design chart called authority, and that's really your decision-making power. So in order to make an aligned choice that's going to have the best result for you, you want to make it from your authority. Now, unfortunately, we're all taught that we should make decisions by using logic, weigh the pros and cons, make a list, do your research. That's all great. But at the end of the day, if you're not using your authority, which can be different depending on what type you are and what your chart looks like, then there's a chance that you could make a choice that isn't necessarily the best choice. So if you can get used to using your authority, and that is a trick that takes a little practice, because as an example, I have emotional authority. So when I make a decision, I have to think about it for a little time. I can't make a split decision and guarantee it's going to stick and be right for me. So I have learned that I have to, say, yes, I'm interested, but let me check my calendar, or, let me think about it, because it may turn out it's not the right thing for me after I think about it for a while. So using that, just those two things are extremely powerful in getting yourself aligned with what you're doing. So A, you have all the energy to do it, and B, you're making aligned choices so you're not spinning your wheels and doing things that really aren't going to work for you. And finally, the other big one is the strategy that everybody has. There are certain people that can't really successfully initiate things. That's actually most of the people. And yet in sales, what do we tell people to do? Just push and, pick up the phone, do it. And that is great for the manifester, but it really is uncomfortable or doesn't work well for the other types. Generators, as an example, are built to respond. So they should be scanning the world for opportunities to respond to that are, take advantage of their genius and are in their realm of what they do. Can a generator initiate? Yeah, maybe, but it may not be as successful as they want it to be. Anybody out there with a business who's tried to launch something and it fell on its face, that's usually, two issues. One, the timing wasn't right, or two, you were pushing and not responding to something out in the outside world. So those are key factors. Just those three things alone can make a huge difference in your business.
And that's powerful. When I had my reading with you, I'm a generator. And some of the things I can remember from that is that, like, generators can draw ideas in, build them into reality. We have an innate ability to see the next step, but we have to learn patience, right? And waiting.
Oh, yes.
For something to respond before implementing. And I circled the word magnetic. So what is it? Generators have a magnetic energy that helps them navigate. What does that mean?
They have a magnetic aura that helps to draw things to them. And that's why just sitting back and, waiting for the right thing to come isn't important for a generator. Now, does that mean we sit there and twiddle our thumbs and don't do anything? No. What we need to do, we need to spend our time on preparing and scanning and watching for the opportunities. The opportunities have to be external to us. They can't come from an idea in our head. It's something somebody says, or an article you might read, or even a billboard you might see on the side of the road. And there's tons of issues and problems out in the world. And the nice thing about issues and problems is that the flip side is an opportunity. So if we can get used to seeing things and finding the opportunity in the problems that we see, that's where a generator can respond. And that's where all that good stuff can come from.
I'll tell you, it really resonated. I mean, the reading was so in depth. And you remember on the video, I'm like, I kept saying, oh my God, because it just made sense. Like, you used words of how I process that I've probably never been able to put into words myself, right? And you, knowing my brands, have seen me grow. So you knew it from the opposite end too, right? So yeah, I really encourage anyone, and we'll talk about more about this later. If you have not had a human design reading for life, for business, please, I'm gonna hook you up with Nancy later because it is powerful. I have referred so many of my clients and friends to her because of the impact. Knowing more about myself helped me in my business. And I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years, but come on, we are always learning. This was more of insights of how I can lead, how I can process, and how I can make things easier for myself. So, so let's talk about one of your key phrases is your personal formula for success. So what do you mean by that, Nancy?
Well, formulas actually don't work. But what I mean by personal formula for success is it's something that is devised by you, for you, based on your human design. So it really encompasses who you are, how you're wired, what you're here to do, your purpose. There's a lot that goes into it so that you can come out the other side really understanding the best path for yourself, your true path, your true life path. And we know this when we come into the world. We come into the world with this, but because we are, with parents going to school, subject to advertising on TV, peer pressure, what have you, those conformities come out. Society likes it when we conform. We want to be accepted. So little by little, we kind of get our path beaten out of us a little bit, and we get on some other path that somebody else thought of or thought was a good idea. So it really is just peeling back those layers and getting back to who you are, what you're here to do, how you're here to do it, what skills and gifts you have in your chart in the form of energies that support you in doing that. And that's your personal formula. And it's like no one else's.
That's why, so it's almost like, a custom recipe, because it's a bunch of different ingredients, but each person's recipe is going to be different.
Exactly. I like that term, custom recipe. I might steal that.
No, take it, baby, take it. I was downloading from you, so it's your wisdom. Because it is, It is our uniqueness that is our gift, but the world tries to get us to conform to fit into this little cookie cutter, almost like Stepford wives, right? And lose
Right,
the essence of who we are, but it's the essence of who we are that brings us success.
right. I mean, think about it. It is an evil plan. It's, just the way society works. But women even get told what their hair should look like, how to dress, what's in fashion, right down to every aspect of our life. We're constantly bombarded with how to act, what to say, who to be. And, that is just so bad. I mean, the greatest freedom you can have is the freedom to be yourself. And that's really what we're trying to get at. Because once you are you, then you get in the ease and flow of your life, rather than trying to paddle upstream and fit into somebody else's idea of what life should look like or business.
It's so true. And the phrase divine design, that we're all born with a divine design. Why don't we follow it? Like, what happens that we don't naturally live our human design?
Well, we do as kids. We come into the world as, have you ever spent, I know you have, a lot of time with a 2 or 3-year-old?
Oh yeah, baby.
I mean, they know exactly who they are and what they're here to do. That's why in the beginning, when they first start talking, they challenge everything a parent says. No, that's usually the first word they come up with. But, over time, we get kind of worn down. We want to please the people that we love. We want to be accepted. There's, like hundreds of years, thousands of years of biology at the cellular level that says we need to be accepted by our quote tribe. I mean, back in the day, especially women, if we weren't accepted by the tribe, we might not survive. We might not have food. We might not be able to ward off threats like wild animals. So this whole idea of conforming to society is very, very old, probably as old as humans themselves. And it's a very deep, deep conditioning that's, not easily shed. And when you buck the status quo, you're subject to ridicule. People might laugh at you. People might be afraid of what you're doing. People might not want to include you in their group. And all of that feels very threatening to people because we have been conditioned for thousands of years to be part of a tribe.
Yeah, you can really feel that truth as you're speaking, and feel that energy that happens to all of us. And one of the other things before we take our next break is, like, I got so much awareness from my human design chart. So for anyone that has had a reading or is about to with you, the reading itself gives an awareness, but it's important to dive deeper, right? To learn even more. And let's talk about that for a moment. Like, how do we deepen our understanding with ourselves? And what would be the next step after a human design reading?
Exactly. I mean, readings are great. There are a lot of practitioners that give wonderful readings. But for me, what do I do with that information? It's great to get the ahas during the reading, but most people take that, they might talk about it for a few days, and then it kind of gets forgotten. When we did your reading, you happened to be at a point with your business where you were changing some things up, including your website. And it came at a really good time because you actually, I think, used some of the verbiage from the reading to describe some of what you were all about.
Exactly.
So, it's important. It's important that we use the reading, not just get the reading. And I do that with a 8-week course program where we dive deep into everybody's chart, and we look not only at what energies you have, but are you living in the highest expression of those energies? It's possible to have an energy and be living in a lower expression and not really being able to, gain everything from it that you could, not being able to explore other possibilities. So I like to take it to the next level where we go deep and understand, okay, you have gate 6 lit up in your chart. That's the gate of impact. Are you making an impact for the world, or are you using it to just do selfish, impactful things? That's sort of a crude example of the difference between living in the lower expression and the higher expression. And if you can identify where you're not making the most of what you have in your chart, then there are ways that we can work on exercises and so on to help you turn that around. But the key to anything is the awareness. Once you become aware, then you can do something about it. But if you're not aware, you know, you don't have the opportunity to do anything different.
Oh, I'm so glad I asked this question, because it's like, you don't walk in the gym once and go, yep, I walked the treadmill, right? That's like getting the reading.
Right.
You go and dive deeper so you can get what you need to experience transformation.
Yeah. If you go to the gym, you hire a personal trainer and they show you how to use the machines, but you never go back. It's kind of akin to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for guiding us through that. We're going to take another break and we'll be back in a moment. I'm with Nancy OKeefe. You can learn more at nancyokeefecoaching.com. We'll be right back, my friends.
Are you struggling to grow your mission-driven business in a way that feeds your soul and fulfills your purpose? When you discover your unique human design and divine blueprint, you'll feel empowered in your business, aligned with your inner wisdom, and open to the flow of abundance and success. Nancy OKeefe is a certified human design specialist and intuitive business coach, successfully coaching entrepreneurs for over 25 years. She is passionate about helping you understand your divine design and your personal formula for success. She knows what it takes after creating her own multi-seven-figure firm. Nancy helps women peel back the layers of who they've been taught to be to reveal who they truly are, so they can build an abundant and sustainable business that feeds their soul. Schedule your complimentary call today at nancyokeefecoaching.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, and with me is the one and only Nancy OKeefe, certified quantum human design specialist, intuitive business coach, and a dear friend. So we have been talking about human design for business, how it's so important, especially for today's rapidly changing, awakening world, that as an entrepreneur, we're aware of our human design chart and how we navigate business and life. But Nancy, a human design chart can tell us so much about so many other areas of our life also. So I want to touch on that too, for those who may be listening that aren't an entrepreneur. So what are some of the areas where understanding about human design can help us enhance our life?
I think one of the primary ones is relationships. I'll give you a quick example. My significant other is a manifesting generator, and I'm a generator. And for years, we've been together over 20 years. And for years, I have always felt like he was rushing me. Anytime we were getting ready to go somewhere, was like he was in a car. I wasn't even, finished combing my hair yet. And it was a source of a little bit of bickering between us. And come to find out, when I learned about human design, the manifesting generator has the fastest energy on the planet. And they can multitask. And they are like the, I think of the fable, the tortoise and the hare. The generator is more like the tortoise, slow, methodical, but gets the job done. But the hare is up and back and skips steps and, does a lot of gyrations. They get there too, but it's not in the same way. And once I realized that our whole problem was around the differences in our energy type, we didn't bicker about that ever again. I explained it to him and he's like, oh my God. I said, now I realize you're not rushing me. I feel like you're rushing me because I'm picking up on your energy, but you're really just doing your thing. So now I know he's going to be waiting in the car. And if he has to wait 10 minutes because I haven't finished getting ready, he's okay with that.
Yeah, but look at the knowledge, just that one
thing. Yeah. The other example also with my significant other is manifesting generators have kind of disruptive energy. They're here to help us do things faster. And he would come down in the vicinity of my home office, and it was like a rock in a pond, ripple effect of his energy. And I would feel him coming, and it would disrupt whatever I was doing. If I was doing something that required a lot of focus and concentration, he blew it right out of the water. again, a source of bickering for us. And once we realize that now, when he starts down this end of the house, he informs me out loud that he's coming. So I can kind of get ready and, mark my place, so I can pick back up where I was. And that has been another huge shift in our relationship just from knowing our respective energy types. So you can learn what you need to be loved. You can learn how you want to be treated. It's also often used in parenting between parent and child to help parents better understand their children and treat them in a way that honors who they are and how they're different, as opposed to, just trying to cookie cutter everything. So relationships is probably the biggest one.
I love that. And those are powerful examples. And some of the other items, because you've been a sacred writer and contributor to Aspire magazine, so I read all your articles, of course. And some of the ones we've talked about is increasing self-worth. And the other one that I really love is understanding the fears and blocks that we might not even know we have that are stopping us from realizing our desires. So those fears and blocks, are they in our human design or is it something we have to uncover as we work deeper with the human design?
No, there are definitely fears present in your chart. There are also life events in your chart that are going to present difficulties for you at certain periods in your life. And there are what we call conundrums in your chart. There are lessons to be learned. That's part of your human design as well. Very insightful to kind of know what's coming, so that you can, make sure you learn the lesson, you pay attention, because we all know how the universe works. First, you get the little tap on the shoulder. If you don't pay attention, you kind of get a little slap upside the head. And if you still don't pay attention, you get a bigger push, and sometimes it can be disastrous. So you want to be prepared and know what those life lessons are, and make sure that you're, focused on learning them the first time around, so you don't have to repeat them. And that can be found in your chart too. So,
well, that's one. I wish I had that 30 years ago, because I kept repeating the same mistakes over and over and looking up like, why is this happening? But it wasn't until I started the inner work and started diving deeper that I realized we're always being guided. And that goes back to the divine design, right? We're wired. And
right.
until we have that awareness, we're following the unconscious parts of ourselves.
Right. But follow it consciously. That's the important piece. And self-worth, a lot of us suffer from low self-worth or self-esteem. And again, we're measuring ourselves by external forces. I love when I do a reading and I see people, I see their body actually relax, because they're all of a sudden realizing, hey, yeah, that's me. That's how I am. That's who I am. And it's good. It's perfect. I don't have to be anything else. And you can see them relax. It's tremendous, especially projectors. They often don't feel valued because they have an innate ability to look inside the aura of other people, and they want to offer constructive criticism in a helpful way. Unfortunately, most of us don't want to hear it. So they can feel very bad about themselves over that issue. And, just knowing that's how you are, and just wait and make sure the other person is receptive to hearing what wisdom you have to offer, can make a huge difference in how they feel about themselves.
Yeah, and something you said, I think, in the first segment is about learning who we are, so we can have the awareness if we are expressing ourselves in our highest potential or that low expression of our potential. So do each of us have that energy of the high and the low potential?
Yeah. Every gate in your chart, every energy in your chart has a lower expression, a challenge, and a higher expression or a mastery. And it's a continuum. So where are you on the continuum? And it isn't fixed. You might be in the highest expressions in some scenarios and a lower one in others, but just understanding that, and, sort of thinking through and walking through how you are, or if you have areas in your life that feel problematic, is it because of that? I mean, that's one way to really start to peel back that conditioning.
And one of the things too is I found that knowing our human design, it helps us clarify how we connect with our inner wisdom. Like I'm big with, I get it right in my solar plexus, right? That's
Right.
how I receive my inner wisdom. Now, is that also tied in? Like my ability, my way of processing my inner wisdom is going to be maybe different from someone else's. That's also wired in our human design, right?
Yes. And, we talk about manifesting.
Yeah.
There's actually a process for manifesting, and you can show it to somebody in their chart. And it's fairly much the same for everyone. But, we have to do certain things. I have a friend who's an unbelievable manifester. She doesn't even know how she does it, but I know how she does it because I watch her do it. And it involves things like dreaming. If you have an idea and there's something that you want to bring into your life, you got to think about it, dream about it, feel into it, and that's what draws it to you. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to say I want this, and miraculously it's going to show up. Well, there's a few more steps than that, and we can learn what those are through human design as well.
Powerful, just intrigues me. I have my chart in front of me, and of course I'm still learning, so there's lots of little things here I'm not, aware of, but there's so much knowledge just in that one chart that I want to invite everyone to visit NancyOKeefeCoaching.com, learn more about what she's up to, grab her free gift, schedule a human design reading. You'll find all the information on her website. I just wanted to make sure I encourage you to do so because it's been life-changing for me. Since I had my reading, as I shared, I have sent many clients and friends to Nancy with more coming her way. And because
Thank you.
you're welcome, my friend. It's such a sacred gift, right? It's a sacred gift to have this, I don't know, have someone give you this awareness and almost a validation of there's nothing wrong with you.
Validation is a great word. Great word.
That's what it felt like. Remember our call? I was like, oh my God. And like she was saying words of describing me as she was just doing the reading. I was like, are you kidding me? Those some of the phrases she used are my soul phrases that I don't say, but she like it validated, even though I've fallen down many times in my life, it validated who I was inside. And that almost encouraged it, not almost, it encouraged me to say, you know what, bring the rest of that out, Lynn. Like, don't keep it in the background. So yeah, it was such a gift to me.
Well, and there's an intuitive component to my readings because I am an intuitive. I have almost the complete knowing circuit in my chart. That's another thing we can tell about people from their chart. So I get a lot of downloads when I'm giving a reading, and I tell people, when I'm reading you, please don't stop me and ask me questions because things are coming to me about you. And if you stop me, I might lose that flow. So make a note of your questions, write them down. And at the end, we can, talk about them all. But yeah, I get a lot of information from above while I'm doing a reading. So
I could feel that coming through in our reading. You know what I mean? I could feel it because it was just flowing. You weren't just reading it from a piece of paper.
Oh,
right?
no.
You had your notes, but you were into my energy and my human design chart and I did feel like it was all just flowing. And how many times did I tell you I listened to that down recording?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Like over and over.
It's a good thing I record it because people have said, oh, can you send me your notes? And I'm like, you couldn't read them.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
my handwritten chicken scratch. So
no, I think
yeah.
I love the recording because it allows the person to go back and get the insights and ahas because it's a lot of powerful information that you're sharing.
Yeah, and I think you have to listen to it multiple times to really get it all.
Exactly. And we're going to take a final break, Nancy, and then we'll come back for the last segment. I am with Nancy O'Keefe, Certified Quantum Human Design Specialist. Get more details at nancyokeefecoaching.com. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you for circling up with me and my guest, Nancy O'Keefe, today. We've been talking everything human design, and I want to talk some more about so many of us have natural skills, which are identified through our human design, but we bury them, right? So how can we use our human design reading and chart to start using our natural skills instead of hiding them or dimming our light? Especially as an entrepreneur, we dim our light.
We do. Yeah, we do. Because let's face it, there are certain things that we have come to deem acceptable in the corporate world or in the business world. And if you have skills that aren't part of that list, you're not going to let them shine because they may not be accepted or people might laugh or what have you. So, and there's some of the softer skills, creative skills. We're just now in the world of business realizing that we need those skills, and they're almost more important than the data-driven skills. So thank goodness for that. But what we do in this program I have is we go through each and every one of the, I call them hidden skills, because they're so natural to a person. Even if they don't use them, they just, they do it without thinking when they do use them, because it's part of who they are. So we uncover those and we talk about, how are you using them? Are you using them? Have you hidden them? How could, your world be different if you started using them? And there are things like, like some people are very intuitive. Some people are natural strategists. Some people have a compassion for others at a level that is deep, and they can empathize. They don't see that as a skill. But when you're a manager, as an example, in an organization, compassion is really one of the most important skills you can have, that and listening. And there are some people that don't have those skills. They've got to cultivate them. So it can really help you see where your strengths are in a way that is different from any other strengths instrument I've ever used. So I find it very powerful. Even if you're doing a resume or something, you can use that information. But just knowing where your skills and hidden talents are is a big confidence booster. It's a big self-worth booster. And if you put yourself out in the world and look for opportunities to use those skills, it can really make you feel good about yourself and help you do some of that deconditioning.
I love it, because it gives us a deeper understanding of our most authentic, aligned expression of ourselves. And that's what we want to lead with in business, in corporate, in our lives. So thank you for sharing that. I just am so enthralled with this topic. So one of the things we talked about earlier was authenticity and the know, like, trust factor. And, we hear that phrase a lot in business, know, like, trust. Well, for spiritual entrepreneurs, which that's what I embrace, because I bring the whole being of who I am to what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It is so important, right? That our energy and what we put out, what we say, is in alignment with the energy that they're feeling.
Right.
And I believe that human design helps us clear that forward-facing information we're putting out, right? Based on based on those masks that we were, grabbed while we were growing up.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little, like the importance of, really tuning into your authentic self and doing the work to become more aware of our qualities, our blocks, all of it, so that we can really show up as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, because really, and the other thing we talk about in business besides know, like, and trust is marketing. We spend a lot of time and effort and money trying to differentiate ourselves, so that if we're, as an example, a health coach, how do we get people to see that we're different from the other 9,999 health coaches on the planet? The best way to do that is to just be yourself. No one else is like you. And we're so, enthralled with the ideas of using marketing to do that, when yes, but marketing should reflect who you are. and your message should reflect what your purpose is, what you're here to do. And if you can grasp those unique aspects of yourself, which you can easily learn from your human design if you're not sure what they are, now you've got a unique selling proposition that nobody else can compete with, because no two people are wired the same way. So the best thing you can do, the best advice I could give any business owner is be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. In the year 2001, I started a company that was completely virtual. I had 50 employees. 6 of them came into the office. The rest of them worked from home. And it was the only virtual business of its kind. And I had to build the technology to make it work because we didn't have Zoom and other apps for that. It was very different. I really was taking a big risk going out there and doing that. But it worked, and I found a labor pool nobody else was willing to look at. I hired very skilled people who were stay-at-home moms and dads who wanted to raise their children, made the conscious decision to leave corporate America, and I paid them what they would have gotten if they got on the bus or the commuter rail and went into a big city, health insurance, all that, and they did highly skilled work in the insurance industry, underwriting. I mean, they were skilled people. But the difference was I thought out of the box. I mean, one of the things in my chart is I'm innovative. And I was brave enough, I had enough courage to get out there and try it. I was responding. Vice president of a large company came to me and said he needed help with something. And I was responding to that when I started the company. And it went gangbusters. I had it for a decade and it was highly successful. Why? Because I responded as a generator. I was innovative. I followed my human design. I didn't even know I was doing it because I didn't know anything about human design then. And I put myself out there in an innovative and different way, different from everybody else, but true to who I was and true to the core value I have of freedom, which allowed my employees to make their choices and live their life the way they wanted to, raise their children, be home when the bus came and help with homework, and not have to work a 9 to 5. Some of them signed on at 9 in the morning and worked until 3 when the bus came, and then they signed back on at 8 o'clock at night after the homework was done. I didn't care what hours they worked. It worked. It was just amazing. So,
that's a powerful example right there of understanding your human design and how it can ripple out in your business. So I love that story. You're a powerhouse, my friend. You are a powerhouse. As we come to a close of our conversation, I want to again invite everyone to visit Nancy at NancyOKeefeCoaching.com. Take advantage of a reading with her. Nancy, we have about a minute left. Is there anything else you want to share? Because I know you have some yummy programs starting. Please feel free to share.
Well, thank you. I would encourage everybody to start with a reading. That's kind of the baseline. Once you get that awareness and understanding, I have a program that takes you to the next level, that deep dive into your energies and are you using them in a low expression or a high expression. There's also some goodies out on my website, 3 sacred gifts that you can learn from your human design. And also for business owners and entrepreneurs, there's sales and marketing by human design. Because again, everything you're told to do might not work depending on your energy type. So please go out there and help yourself to those items and enjoy. I'm always available for a chat if anybody has any questions. Even if you've had your chart read, happy to talk with you about it if you have questions. So anything I can do to help, because we all just need to be able to be ourselves. The world would be such a nice place if we could all live in the expression of who we truly are.
What a beautiful message to close our sacred conversation with, my friend. Thank you, Nancy, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for circling up with me, whether you joined us live or are listening on a replay on one of the podcast platforms. I am always grateful to circle up with you. Please share this interview with those in your life that can be inspired and transformed by this conversation. Until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose gratitude. Blessings.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.